Hello students, in this video we'll discuss here the unit number 3, that is laws of motion. And in this video we'll discuss here the basic concept of the laws of motion. So to discuss the basic concepts, so there are some important points here. So we have to start here from the force. Now the definition of the force is, the force can be defined as a push or a pull which can tends to change the state of rest or uniform motion or direction of the motion of any object is called force. So there are some main points that change or tends to change about the state of rest or the uniform motion or direction of motion, that is known as force. Now second point is, that is inertia. Inertia, again, it is the property of the body by virtue of which it opposes any change in its state of rest or of uniform motion, that is called inertia. So inertia, it is the property, it is that property which gives the measurement of the mass, means the inertia can be measured with the help of the mass. So if higher the mass of the body, then greater the inertia of that body. Inertia are of the three types. Number one, rest of inertia. Number two, motion of inertia. And number three, direction of inertia. And these 3 points can be discussed by taking some examples. So next point is, that is the first law of motion. Now the statements here is, every body continues in its state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled by some external force to change that state. It means that if any body is in rest, so it remains in rest for long ever. And if it is moving in uniform motion, so it is continuously moving in a uniform motion along a straight line up to such a moment when it will not be compelled by any force. Means the force, if the force is not acting on the body, so body is moving continuously long ever. So this is the explanation of the first law of motion, that is also called Newton's first law. Now next, number 2, that is Newton's second law. Now to discuss the Newton's second law, before that we will discuss here first of all what is momentum. So momentum means the product of mass of the body to the velocity of the body is called momentum. And momentum is denoted by P, it's a vector quantity. So P will be equal to m into V, and its unit is kilogram meter per second. So this is the definition of the momentum. Now the product of mass and velocity, that is momentum. On the behalf of that momentum, we have to discuss here the Newton's second law, that is called second law of motion. So the statement of the second law of motion is that the time rate of change of momentum, the time rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied force, and change takes place in the direction of the applied force. So in mathematically we can say that the force which is acting, it is always directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum, that is dp over dt. So if we have to write force equal to dp over dt, so that proportionality sign is removed here, and after removing that sign we have to put here value 1. So f will be equal to dp over dt. So vector f will be equal to vector dp over dt. Now P, it is equal to m into V. We have to put here P is equal to m into V. M is the constant, it is mass of the body, right out of the differentiation, and dv over dt, that is equal to the acceleration, that is rate of change of velocity, is known as acceleration. So m into a, that this is the formula for the force. So here F will be equal to m into a. This is the another mathematical statement of the Newton's second law. But the first statement is F proportional to dp over dt. So actually in this law, momentum is used here. So we'll discuss here first what is momentum. Now next here the third law of motion. That is the Newton's third law of motion. The statement of the third law of motion is that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So you suppose F1 force is acting by the first body on the second, and F2 force is acting by the second body on the first. Now in magnitude F1 will be equal to F2, but both are acting in opposite direction, so we have to put here the negative sign. So negative sign indicates here only the direction of the force is acting on the body. Now next is the impulse or impulse of force. That is that can be defined as the product of the force and the time for which the force acts on the body. That is known as impulse or impulse of force. This is denoted by J. It's also a vector quantity, and J will be equal to F vector into time, or F into T. Its unit is Newton second. So impulse of force or impulse is denoted by J. And one thing is also included by the impulse, that is the impulse momentum theorem. And the statement of the impulse momentum theorem is that the impulse is always equal to the change in momentum. The change in momentum, that is delta P, that delta P will also be equal to J. So this is the impulse momentum theorem. So these all the basic concepts are used here to start the laws of motion. So this video is only to build up the concepts of the unit third, that is laws of motion. It is a recapitulation video, means this actually part is deleted in the new syllabus that will be discussed in the session 2020-21 for the class 11th. But before discussing these things, we can't explain the chapter, that is laws of motion. So it is a recapitulation video, and in this video all the definitions are discussed here, and these all the definitions are used in that chapter laws of motion to discuss the next part of the unit third, that is laws of motion. So learn all these definitions, learn all the formulas and statements to build up your concept regarding the unit number 3. Okay, I hope that you have to understand these definitions and learn these definitions. Okay, thank you very much.